Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, well, for the last three shows or more, we've had a new sponsor, the Three Rivers Comic Con, and I've been telling you about their wonderfulness. Tonight's show is dedicated solely to that. We have John Engel back, and the part of Todd McDivitt this time will be played by Claude Rains. That's for all of you who appreciate the Universal Monster. We're going to find out what's in store down at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center, and it's all coming up for you as cinematic class is about to begin. And your professor is in. Greetings, salutations, another sundry affair. I am your cinematic professor and purveyor of truth in movies. And tonight, this is actually an annual show, John. And we've done this, I think, about 6 years now, roughly.
Probably, at least four that I remember. But
so I'd like you to welcome to the studio John Engel, who is the regional manager for New Dimension Comics, and really the, let's say, brain and brawn behind the Three Rivers Comic-Con, the Comic-Con that specializes in putting the comics back in the con. We got that.
You
right.
got it. Exactly.
So, there was a big move last year. You guys took this thing down to the David L. Lawrence Convention Center in the heart of Pittsburgh, which is a pretty big venue from the venues that you've had previously. And as you can tell from the poster and from these nifty little cards advertising the event, it is back down there again. So I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that last year's convention worked exceptionally well, and those folks wanted you back again.
Indeed it did. We saw an uptick in people coming down. It worked out because of the other events that were going on downtown, which are also going on this year. And it felt like home. Like you ever like move into an apartment or a house and you're just like, this is the right place to be. It felt like that for that show. Everything went very smooth. The convention center people were great. Everybody that attended said they loved it. So we're heading back down, and it's same exact spot, bottom floor, Hall D, right on street level, so you can park, walk across the street, and it's literally right there. We're gonna have a blast. It's gonna be fun.
Now I would imagine too that having the con in a place like the David L. Lawrence Convention Center probably makes it a little easier to bring in some good name guests in that, because it has a little more prestige to it. Yes,
it does. It gives it a little more clout, and it also something that I have learned from other con promoters when they were deciding to move to a convention center, because that was always when is the right time and what do you do to do that. The best advice I ever got was to embrace the city. So if you're going to move downtown, embrace the city. And we did that. Like we partnered with the Pirates. We partnered with a bunch of local establishments downtown. We bring something cool to the city, and the city gives back. It's very symbiotic. Being downtown is like this whole experience of, you see culture, you see architecture. Recently we had a comics industry meeting in downtown Pittsburgh, and all these guys from all these publishers are walking around and they're going, wow, it looks like old New York down here.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
I'm like, yeah, exactly. Because of that, then we started getting a little more flexibility in who we can bring down, because they're like, oh man, everybody thought Pittsburgh was like this dingy place, like it was back in like the, I don't know, 1900s, early 1900s, like 100 years ago. It probably looked very, very dingy because it was all smog and that's all the photos you saw. But they're like, this is beautiful and the architecture's great and da-da-da. And so it's, it's kind of a different thing to move it into that kind of an aspect, and to be in the cultural district, to bring art and comics and creators and writers to the cultural district, it felt right.
Well, not only that, but the Arts Festival, the annual Arts Festival, will be running during the con, because it goes from June 2nd to the 11th.
Yep.
So you're right there, and I'm going to assume that you planned it that way, right?
So
and it wasn't just happenstance?
So last year, Arts Festival and Pride were the same weekend, and Pride's right across the river on the North Shore by Stage AE. And this year, it was the same weekend, and we said, well, it worked out really well last year because we had people who went to Arts Festival and Pride, and both went, there's no comic books here. Like, they're already walking through Arts Festival thinking they might find somebody with prints, and everybody that's there is going, no, there's a comic show down the street. You can go to that instead. We had a lot of walk-ins. We had brand new people coming in the door an hour before close both days. It was nuts. I loved it, and it worked so well that we're doing it again like that.
So I know that you and Todd both took a pretty big gamble last year bringing it down to the convention center, and I remember talking to you about it, and everybody was like, fingers crossed that this works out okay. So obviously it did, because you're back there again. But what is going to be different about this year's show from what you did in your inaugural year down there?
Well, we have a little bit of a schedule change with the beer release. That's the biggest change.
Okay.
The beer release is actually going to be Friday night as like a kickoff to the weekend. So it's 7 o'clock on Friday night at Bill's Burgers in the Westin Hotel. It's the bar that's in the hotel.
Oh, yeah.
That's where we're going to release the beer. Robert Hack will be there to sign the labels. We're also going to have it on tap in that hotel bar the whole weekend. And then Saturday night, instead of doing the beer release, we're doing a charity quick sketch drink and draw. So how that'll work is artists can come over, they can have dinner, and while they're having dinner, they draw some piece of art, and we're going to have a bunch of tables that say like $5, $10, $20, $50, $100, and they can just drop stuff on the table, and then people can just walk up and buy it for that, and it goes to charity.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's going to be same place, Bill's Burgers. So that's the biggest change in schedule. Other than that, we added a couple more cosplay guests for this year, and we have a ton of talent that's coming, and every year we just try to build that talent pool a little bit better. And I think every year we raise that bar ever so slightly, and it works out.
Now, you had mentioned about charity. Are you guys picking the charity, or is the Westin picking the charity?
We pick the charity, which is Extra Life, and Extra Life is kind of like the funnel, right? We partner with Extra Life because one of our former employees has a campaign, and it all goes to Children's Miracle Network.
Yes.
So he comes in and he runs an art auction booth at the show. He's going to run the quick sketch stuff, but it all goes to that, or not all of it, but most of it goes to that charity. Some of it will go to the show to keep the show going. But it's, it's going to a good place.
Yeah.
But we choose that charity because we have stake in it, because one of our guys, loves it, and we were backing him doing that when he worked for us.
Yeah.
In fact, if you walk into some of the stores, you'll see Extra Life, drop your pennies or whatever in.
Sure.
Especially at the mills, because I think he has like 2 or 3 out there, and he used to work out there, so they get a lot more from that. But that's the charity we do, and sometimes we will also have like some Heroes Initiative stuff around. On the Heroes Initiative is another great charity that we choose. For our cosplay karaoke event, which is the Wednesday before the show, that is a Heroes Initiative event. So, we take a lot of pride in doing that too. That is like one of the most fun things I get to do.
Where's that
6 times a year. That's at Hard Rock Cafe.
Oh, yeah.
And it'll be 7 o'clock the Wednesday before the show, and we're doing it as our anniversary show because it's like the 4-year anniversary, I think. So we have taken the top 64 songs and we have a spin wheel, and we're gonna do them randomly, and we're calling it the Wheel of Death.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Normally we normally we pick a theme for it. Like one time it was like all DC characters and no Batman showed up, which was weird. But we had like 4 Nightwings. And then one time it was Spider-Verse and we didn't have a Spider-Man show up, but we had a Spider-Woman and we had a bunch of other people. We had a Kingpin. And it's a ticketed event. It's $5 to just come in and watch. It's $10 to sing. And usually we make like $300 or $400 for the Heroes Initiative at a clip. So you do that, 5 or 6 times a year, and it's a decent amount of money for them, and
Sure.
We love
That's
to
nice.
support. So
Okay, you mentioned a couple of other things in your answer, so let's hit those first. I guess we'll start. Well, should we start with the beer or the cos? Let's go cosplay first.
sure.
I know last year when we were down there were some there's some pretty interesting characters. And most of them are real, willing to snap a photo with you or something like that. That's pretty cool. Just how big of a deal is the cosplay, and talk a little bit more about the people you have coming in that are going to be there for the convention specifically. Are they picked because of their fame on the internet, or are they picked because of who they represent, or that type of thing?
Well, let me try to answer that the best way possible.
Okay.
So, firstly, cosplay is for everybody. If you're into cosplay, come and check it out. It's great. And cosplay is one of those things that people, if you're not into the community, some people think it's weird. It's really not. It's a lot of fun, and it's a way to escape into somebody, right?
Sure.
It's like Halloween all the time. So we have this year, our featured cosplayers are Sarah Spector and Silver Fox, who will be shooting with Jeff Zoot Visuals. They every year we do that. We show people what a photo shoot basically looks like. So each day, one of them will be shooting with Jeff at an open shoot where you can watch them. They were going to change into another outfit. He does a shoot with them.
Right.
You get to see how all of that works. One each day, and the other day they'll be at their booth. Then we also have Samurai Jill, who has been a featured cosplay of ours for a long time. I remember the first year we did the show, she won the costume contest with a Hawk Girl.
Nice.
It was awesome. It had these giant wings, and she had a big helmet, and when she won, she kind of was like, "Oh man, I can't believe I won this! This is my first." And it was her first time ever entering a contest.
Oh, nice.
So that was great. She's awesome. She does a lot of. Her and Sarah both do some stuff with some other cons as featured guests. And then we have Oddfell, who was a featured guest of ours in 2019 when we were at the Waterfront. She's a model and influencer, stuff like that. And then Shannon Rona, who is the Pittsburgh Iron Man. So she's the one with the black and gold Iron Man.
Yep.
And it's got the replaceable chest plates for each sports team. It's really awesome. And then we also have cosplay groups like the 501st. We have a Star Trek group. We have the Steel Sea Ghostbusters, Pittsburgh Avengers, Liberty Cosplay, Cosplay Kitchen. And I think I'm missing somebody, but I will probably get crap for that later. Anyway, so the reason some of them we pick because they do a lot of charity work, and they'll help raise money for Extra Life. And a lot of them we know. We know a lot, and we work with them on other things. Like the 501st, we have employees who are members. We have people that have worked with them for a long time. They've come and done Free Comic Book Day. They've done other events with us. The Star Trek group is they promote science and learning, which is awesome. I'm actually part of that ship. I'm an ambassador for them. And like the Ghostbusters, they do a lot of charity work. We work with Liberty Cosplay all the time with the cosplay karaoke's. They help judge. And we've done parades with everybody. It's awesome. Some of the more high-end feature ones like Oddfell, Jill, Sarah, Silver Fox, we've worked with them for a long time. We've known them for a long time, and there's a lot of really good cosplayers in the city of Pittsburgh, and a lot of them are influencers, like cosplay influencers. And actually, Jill, Oddfell, Shannon, and Sarah are doing a cosplay influencer panel this year.
Oh, that's cool.
So for those people who want to learn how to, utilize social media better and grow their brand as a cosplayer, they're going to be able to help people out with that with the panel. And all of them together, I think, have like if you add all of their Instagram followers together, I bet you they have a reach of 500,000, probably something like that.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Yeah, or at least quarter.
So we
million.
should probably talk about the beer now. That's probably been one of the more unique features of the con. Every year there is a craft beer that is associated with the event, and that beer changes every year. And you have unique bottling for that beer. So tell us who's making this beer, what it's all about, and tell us about the label, which I think we might have a picture of. So we'll be able to flash that up while you're talking.
So it's again being made with our partnership with Shoe Brew. We've worked with them for a couple years. It is called Spellbound Stout. It is I believe, maple bourbon breakfast stout, I believe is what it was, or it's infused with maple and bourbon. And it's like 11 or 12%. And the art on this year's label is done by Robert Hack. He worked on Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. He worked on Doctor Who. He worked on a bunch of other books. And, he loves, he like always enjoys our beer. And when we asked him to do the label, he was very excited to do it. It's kind of this cool witch over a cauldron. And he did the whole label. And when it gets wrapped around the can, it kind of looks like a melted candle, which is kind of neat the way he did that. But yeah, you can get those at the beer release party. If you don't have a VIP pass, because your VIP pass gets you 2 cans for free, you can buy some cans on site, and it will be on tap. And you can do that again on Saturday during the charity quick scat or drink and draw. So.
Yeah. That's always a big fun thing about it. We should, not to put you on the spot again, I don't want you to forget anybody, but I think it'd probably be appropriate now if you mention some of the bigger names that are featured in this year's event, and for the uninitiated, maybe what they might be noted for.
Sure. Well, I brought a bunch of samples here.
If you need to pick any of those up, I can get
so.
this off here.
We have, all right, so this is Wayne Foucher. He's done Spider-Man, Batman, Impulse, Flash, a bunch of great stuff. And he's from Johnstown, so that's always good to support another PA guy. This is Miraculous Ladybug. This was lettered by Justin Birch. He is lettered for tons of publishers. He did the lettering on our art for when you see the poster there, he actually did all the lettering on that. He is a great guy. He's from Wheeling, actually. And this is Fables, number 50, and Andrew Pepoy did this. He has worked on Fables, a ton of Archie stuff, Mutant X, Magneto, Cable, a bunch of Marvel stuff, X-Men, Batman. He's done all kinds of things. We're really excited. This is his first time at our show. We're excited for having him to come out. This one's Daryl Banks, who did Green Lantern. He did the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern stuff with Ron Mars. He also worked on some Wonder Woman stuff in the current. I'll do a couple more here. This one's from Russ Braun, who worked on the second half of The Boys. He also worked on Fables and is doing a Fables panel with Andrew. He did Batman, Legends of the Dark Knight. He's done Swamp Thing. He also worked for Disney for a long time. So if you look at his current stuff, he draws everyone with very much Disney hair, especially the guys. They have that beautiful coif. I always I always mention it to him. He's like, "You're right, I know."
It's like ours.
Right, exactly. It's like he draws everybody with Todd's hair. But this is My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, and Tom Zahler worked on this book. He's from Cleveland. He's coming down. He also did a book called Loving Capes that he does 100%, and Cupid's Arrow. They're also just great books. Yeah, I just have a couple more. This one's Matt Horak. He's another guy that's also regional. He's done the show a couple times. And he's worked also on Punisher. He has another book coming up that I can't tell you about because I was sworn to secrecy.
So it won't be there, huh?
But I will tell you it's another Marvel book.
Okay.
But I think it comes out, I think it may have just got solicited, but it comes out like 2 weeks after the show. So that's why, this is Thor Core #1. This is by Pat Olliffe. He's a Pittsburgher. He has also done Catwoman, Spider-Girl, Barbed Wire, Rough Riders, Spider-Man, all kinds of stuff. And him and Ron are actually doing a Thor panel, so with Ron Friends.
Yeah.
This is one of the early, this is one of the Eric Masters story pieces where he becomes eventually Thunderstrike.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of cool to see these kind of books come up. But Ron's worked on everything from Amazing Spider-Girl, Amazing Spider-Man, Flash, Superman, Fantastic Four. He did a Captain America cover. He's nuts, and it's a lot of these guys. It was hard for me to choose something to bring because their catalogs are so deep.
Yeah.
But Ron also did famously the 252 Amazing Spider-Man, which is the first black suit Spider-Man in Amazing Spider-Man. This is Robert Hack. He's the guy doing the beer label. This is the style of art, the same kind of style of art. And, he's, like I said, he's worked on Sabrina. He's worked on Doctor Who, a couple other things. He does a lot of Archie stuff. It's really awesome to watch him work, by the way, because he hand crushes chalk into it. That's how he gets the coloring.
Oh,
it's super cool.
That's cool.
And then this is cool because he doesn't. The artist who did this did not do a lot of show. He doesn't do a lot of shows anymore. This is P. Craig Russell. He did Sandman. He did American Gods. He did Norse mythology, Killraven, a couple other books, Doctor Strange, and he has done a ton of stuff. And he is one of the bigger original indie guys. Which is awesome.
And he'll be at the show this year.
He'll be at the show, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And he, like I said, he does not do a lot of shows. Even though he is from the area, he does not do a ton of shows. But he's a great guy, super great to talk to. He and two other gentlemen will be doing a Legends of Indie Comics panel this year.
Cool. Yeah.
So,
that'll be real cool.
Yeah, our panels this year, I think, are stepping up a little bit because that was always like our weak spot. Was we weren't really focusing on content as much as we probably should, and this year it's just going up and up and up. It's great.
So naturally, my next question is going to take us away from content.
Oh, sure.
I know when we've talked in the past, and you guys always say that you want to stay away from that Hollywood glitz aspect of a lot of Comic-Cons have that, they become really just Hollywood studio promotional campaigns rather than dealing with the con. But one thing that is still very viable, even at the Three Rivers Comic-Con, is merchandise.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like I've always said on all of our spots, I usually finish up my Christmas shopping. I'll be done June 4th. When this is over, my Christmas shopping will pretty much be done. Talk about the influence of the merchandise. Like, what merchandise is it essential to have at the con, and which is the stuff that might be a little more off the wall that you like to bring in?
Well, I mean, every year it kind of changes up depending on who's available for the show to shop or to vend. Right?
Sure.
I will tell you that over half of our vending area is comic book dealers. And we have guys from 8 different states coming. And they are going to have everything from really old Golden Age, crazy, weird, like, and expensive things like we might find like a old Green Hornet that you've never seen before. Or they may also have like, somebody might bring a first appearance of Superman. I don't know, maybe. Last year I watched a bunch of first appearances of people go from a lot of these dealers. It was awesome. And they have everything up to new stuff. We have a lot of toy dealers. So if you're into action figures, Funko Pops, that kind of stuff, we're going to have that. We have kind of like nerd craft is what I kind of call that. Like, so people that will make nerd focused crafty things.
Yeah.
And it's like a whole different thing. But you know what? My wife does not like nerd stuff, but she likes that stuff. Like she won't buy a comic book, but she'll buy like a pot holder.
Yeah.
like we have Mandalorian pot holders at home, right? So there's that kind of stuff. Also, we have gaming guys. So we have guys that are going to have foam LARP weapons for live action role play stuff.
Nice.
We have custom dice people. We have some 3D printing guys that make like their own figures for gaming. We have guys selling singles and booster packs and stuff like that as well. I think we have at least one T-shirt dealer. We also have a lot of anime stuff. So if you're into anime or manga, there's going to be a couple dealers that deal in a lot of that genre's stuff, like waifu pillows and all kinds of stuff like that. So prints, posters. And then there's also guys that are going to be in Artist Alley that do original art that are not published. And some of their art is absolutely fantastic. And this is actually how they get into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We actually have 2 high school students who are setting up for the very first time ever at anything. And I sat them together. Their art teacher is going to be there. This is like part of their final project.
Is it from a local school?
Yeah.
Cool.
I can't remember the name of the school offhand, but we're really, really excited to work with them.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's kind of a cool experience for them to learn that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And we are glad they chose us to do that.
Hey, that original stuff, I got to tell you, I walked out a couple of cons ago. I walked out with an original drawing of Godzilla versus Gamera.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm holding on to that baby. It was really good.
I bet I know who did that one actually.
Probably. It's very good.
Did you win the? Were you at did you?
I don't win
bid.
anything.
I was gonna say. Did you bid on did you see the big Godzilla piece at the art auction we had a couple years ago? It went for like $300. It was huge. It was like an 11 by 17 of like Godzilla ripping through town. It was awesome.
I didn't win it. I don't win these things. I don't.
So good.
Hey, listen, I wanna kind of wrap this up as we're slowly coming to the end of the time here for the show, but I want to do something a little bit different before we give everybody the final rundown on the con. It might not be a bad idea for you to use this opportunity to promote your podcast, which I believe we call, is it the Toddcast?
Correct.
Okay. So, I kind of found this thing and I thought, this would be I think you should let people know it's out there. So tell us a little bit about the podcast.
So it is, if you go on to iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, it's New Dimension Comics presents the Toddcast. And it's a weekly show on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock. Myself and my coworker Justin, and sometimes other coworkers will hop on. We do comic reviews, we talk about movies, we talk about TV, just nerd news in general. And it's a lot of fun. It's about an hour long. You can watch it.
Very detailed.
We do when we talk about the book each, because we each talk about 4 to 6 books a week.
Yeah.
And we will like go through the whole book and kind of tell you a recap of what happened in the book and why you should buy it.
Yeah.
And every week it's almost every week it's books that came out the day before on release day. And I love doing it. I've been doing this for a long time. We have 200 plus episodes on YouTube. Yes. We have like probably 100 episodes on YouTube. We have like 200 plus if you count like all the audio ones when it was audio only.
Mm-hmm.
Every once in a while we'll have guests. We've had publishers. I actually just got a message before we started here about a artist that wants to come on. And then every once in a while we'll have Todd come on and he will tell us some random story about his almost 40 years in the industry. And if we go to shows or something, we'll tell fun stories about that. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
A lot of info.
Yeah. It's a lot.
All right, so let's wrap this all up. Let's start with Wednesday night is the karaoke.
Correct.
And that's down at the
Hard
Rock Cafe. Then Friday night, you're going to release the beer.
Yep.
And that's going to be at the Weston
The Bill's
Hotel.
Burgers at Weston at 7 o'clock.
And then the con is going to be Saturday and Sunday, starting at
10 o'clock if you get a general admission ticket, both days. 9:30 if you have a VIP pass.
Okay, and it will go till
7 o'clock Saturday, 5 o'clock Sunday.
and it will be held at the David L. Lawrence Convention Center in downtown Pittsburgh. I know I'm going to be there, and I hope to see you there as well. John, thanks again for coming on to the show. We'll see you down at the Three Rivers Comic-Con. And now that you have learned what you have learned, here endeth your lesson.